how for you were the first couple weeks back after doing nothing for months? Because it's not like as actors, it's really
Girl, I wasn't doing nothing. I was barbecuing. I was drinking sangria.
Girl, I hear that.
I was baking as if it was my job. It was just like ridiculous. I forgot how to wear jeans. I was like,
you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hi.
Hi, Mama. Nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you too. We have a lot of friends and things in common.
I know. My girlfriend and your girlfriend, Kelly, she texted me. She was like, you're going to love Jamie. She's the coolest. Like, if you get her stamp, I know.
I know, really. If I get Kelly's stamp, I feel good about myself.
Yeah,
I just got some benevolence candles and stuff too. So I'm super excited about her and everything that she's working on.
I know. She's impressive, isn't she? She really is. So cool. So you are on SVU.
Yes, this is my second season.
Amazing. And how do you love it?
I really love it. I was so nervous at first to come into something so well established because you're just like, all right, don't screw this up. You know,
I know the feeling. Yes.
Yeah. And you know, in this world, like you also know that if it goes well, as you know better than anyone, that you can stay and work in so many different capacities. And that for me was so exciting. And
yeah, because you actually, what a lot of people don't realize is that you start as a guest and then they have to like give you the official, yes, we love you, join our family, which can be a lot of pressure. Yeah.
It can be. When were you first on with the Wolf family? When was that?
So I started the original Law and Order season 16, which was many years ago. I was 30, so it was a while ago. But yeah, I totally know the feeling of having that pressure and being like, oh wow, this is so established and so big, and you're like, it's fine, I'm gonna blend in, it's gonna be great. And you go and you work with these wonderful actors that are good humans and do your thing, you know. So
you learn so much. Everyone is so good at their jobs, like in every capacity that I learn every day, whether it's from Ice or Mariska or if it's from, you know, John Heron behind the camera or one of our directors. It's like there's just so much.
You have great people over there, good humans, like just kind and gracious. And I feel like the wolf pack, so to speak, they don't allow turds. You know what I mean? The turds go. Like,
and it's like a time
you don't make the cut. Yeah. And it's how it should be because you're a family and you're together for hours and doing your thing and you want to do good work and love what you do. And that's really your second family, you know? Yeah. So you got to get along.
If people don't actually like each other or if somebody's not putting in the work that they need to or any of that can just throw everything off.
Yeah. I was always like really surprised and spoiled by the guest stars, like the actors, the caliber of humans that come out of New York City and you know, the casting, they're so incredible. They're so talented and so strong that I remember getting guest stars and just being like, be cool. Do not show them that you're freaking out excited. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to be here, be cool. But I feel like in those moments that, you know, people are walking up, you're like, holy cow, what? This is incredible.
Like, I know my first episode. So not only was it my first episode ever on Law and Order, but I hadn't worked for 18 months. I was in a terrible dry spell and thought I didn't know what I was doing already. I get the job. In my first episode, they tell me that my guest star partner is going to be Ian McShane. And I'm like, okay.
It's totally fine.
Anything else you guys want to like pile on top of this now?
Yeah.
Like, and even that experience, just working with someone who's like kind of from the old guard, and I'm a theater person from the beginning, and so to watch him work was really amazing. And then you're sitting there watching Ice and Mariska and Kelly and everyone else, and I'm just like,
you're having an out of body experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even now, if I watch the show, I'm like, what am I doing up there with all?
You're like, oh my God, that's me. Yeah. I have that feeling every single day. I'm not joking. And you know what? I don't know about you, but I find that when we have guest stars that come in, or if I see an actor on the street, anybody that I admire, I assume that I know them. Like, oh yeah, obviously I got to work with you. And they are like, who are you? I don't know who you are. And I have to literally go and like Google and be like, did I actually, am I an idiot? Yes, I am. Or, you know, oh my God, I did work for them. We just had on FBI, David Zayas, who is like just a rock star. He's so cool. So he shows up to set. This is a couple of weeks ago. And well, on the read through, actually, we Zoomed and I was like, dude, cool. Oh, you're here. This is great. So when I see him, I'm like, David, hey. And he is looking at me like, who are you? And I'm like, oh my God. I had to walk away and look him up and go, did I actually work with him? Or is this another person you think you know because you're an idiot? And it turns out I had worked with him and I remembered him and I was super impressed. And he was such a cool guy. And we had a good laugh about it. But it is like that moment where you have to walk away and be like, years ago, do you know who Caesar is, the dog whisperer?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So many years ago, I have just like painted the house and I'm exhausted. And a girlfriend of mine, we go and have sushi together, right? And my husband's coming to meet us a little later. Well, there's Caesar. He's in the sushi place. And I am so like tired that I say, oh, hey man. Oh, like, it's so good to see you. And he looks at me like, who are you? And my husband just happens to walk in at that exact moment. And he goes, honey, dog whisperer. Honey, that's the dog whisperer. And I was like, oh, yes, you are. Oh, I love your show. But of course I knew him because I'm spoiled because I got to work, you know, on the Wolfpack stuff and we have incredible actors. So I obviously know everyone personally. So
I know. I've done that before. I think I was in a bar when I was young, this is probably 10 years ago or something. And I remember being like, oh my God, I think I went to camp with that girl. She looks so familiar. And I like started walking towards her and my girlfriend's like, that's Liv Tyler, Jamie. And I was like, oh, that is Liv Tyler.
But we're friends in my heart. Yeah.
Thing about the guest stars on these shows, and I always say this because they're always so nervous and they have all the meat most of the time. And I'm always like, listen, we're just asking you questions. Like you have all of the stuff to do because they're trying to pull it out of them. But the guest stars are the ones who most of the time are doing the heavy
that emotion. Yeah. It's crazy.
How is FBI?
Yeah, I love it. I love it there. It was funny when I first started, I came in their second season and they were already an established kind of hit. And it was like, oh gosh, yes, what a gift. You know, let me jump in there. And Jeremy Sisto and I had worked together years and years before on the original Law and Order. So it was like, he and I are very close anyway, and our families are close and we had our kids at the same time. And so, you know, it felt like I was just coming home. You know what I mean? Like Zico and Missy and everybody was just, you know, how you get that vibe. You kind of go and you mesh and then you look around and you're like, oh, wait, aren't I supposed to be like really nervous and uncomfortable? And I don't feel that. I feel like, oh, yeah, I'm home. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of people behind the camera that I had known for years because they all keep it in the family and the good people just continue. It's wonderful. So I love it. I love my job. I love the people. I think it's so much fun. And I get to be the boss, which is hysterical because, you know, a lot of times I'm like, what did you do? Don't do that. Get out of my office. Do it again. Do better. Goodbye. You know, and I'm like, it's great. It's awesome.
And you seem so just laid back and bubbly and as yourself. And so I'm sure
I'm not cool in real life. I'm super dorky and people are always like, wow, you are not what I expected at all. But yeah, you play a police officer, right?
I do. I've not yet been promoted to detective, so I'm still the lowly officer. And they kind of brought me in to be sort of this, I use the word younger and then they all get mad at me.
You own it, girl. You go with that. Hold it in your heart. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I look tired. I'm like, no, that's your face, Alana. That's what you look like. You're not tired. That's your face.
That's fair. Don't say that about my new friend, okay?
Girl.
But it's been really amazing to provide that voice, especially at such a cathartic time. You know, last season, it was already something that felt really powerful, but this season, especially with everything, all the complex social evolution and things that are happening in our society, it seems even more necessary, especially portraying a police officer, to portray these different points of view, because there are so many sides to it right now. And while our show is always like ripped from the headlines, it's not usually that the headlines are about us. And so now there's like that balance of the public view of the NYPD, you know, the image that we want to put out there, entertainment, responsibility, you know, you're putting all these layers together to try and get it right, whatever that ends up being. But as Kat, I feel really grateful for the opportunity that I've gotten to sort of speak up about things that, you know, are really resonating with my generation right now and with a lot of people in general, I think.
Yeah, I think the Wolfpack, they do a beautiful job of creating scripts that leave people talking, and that you're not always going to win, and you're not always necessarily, you know, doing the right thing all the time. Some things are personally motivated. And, you know, I love to read scripts where characters are flawed, because we are in real life, and they always discuss real things happening right now, which is so cool. And so important, really, to like show both sides, show different perspectives, get people talking, especially now in such a volatile world that we're in, to keep communication open and to remember that we're humans on any side, you know what I mean? And everybody, no matter where you're coming from, whatever, is trying to feed their family, and you have the same goals, and you love the same way. And, you know, so it's something really special that I think this company does. They just do it right and leave you thinking, which is cool.
And they I don't know, somehow they've managed to do it for so many years. And everyone's like, how do these writers write this many episodes? And I'm like, well, unfortunately, the just keeps on coming in the world.
Absolutely.
And
it's so true.
And, you know, a lot of people don't realize that for every episode, despite it not being specifically based on a person or an event, it's still, we always get these articles and research information. People don't realize that we're given these real life sets of information that we do with whatever the event is in the episode. So there's always this certain amount of like internalizing that you're doing as a human being and as an actor, taking in this material too, because you know that in our case, at least mostly, unfortunately, this really did happen to someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone like, over, you know, and that part of it, I think, adds that layer of responsibility.
Yeah. When I did Law and Order, I remember getting scripts often and going, looking at Sam and going, did this actually happen? He's like, yeah, I believe. I was like, what? Where have I been, under a rock? He's like, oh yeah, you know, it's incredible that they can keep that up, because it's real, you know, and they're so talented, you know.
How have you been dealing with the protocol? How for you were the first couple of weeks back after doing nothing for months? Because it's not like as actors, it's really
I wasn't doing nothing. I was barbecuing. I was drinking sangria. I was baking as if it was my job. It was just like ridiculous. I forgot how to wear jeans. I was like,
you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. In fact, my daughter just said to me right now, I was putting makeup on for this. She goes, Mom, you look like a diva. I was like, a diva? You're 7. What is a diva? She's like, you know, like that. I was like, you're right. I'm a little bit diva right now. It's fine. Not used to it, you know?
Moment.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, with COVID, it's funny, when we first started, I thought, oh gosh, you know, how are we going to keep up with this? Wearing the masks. And I am super angular, so my mask tends to rub right there. And then I look like Cruella de Vil because there's makeup missing. It's hysterical. I come home, my husband's like, what? But, you know, I thought that it was going to drive me crazy, you know, wearing the mask constantly and, you know, temperature checks and COVID checks, but it's okay. You know what I mean? We're so lucky to do what we do for a living. And it's really about perspective. Like, everybody's back. We're starting to work again, and we're doing it safely. And, you know, heaven forbid somebody does get COVID, they're able to take them out, take their pod out, give them 2 weeks to rest, heal, make sure nobody else has it or whatever. And they're doing it. So I feel like me with a mask and testing, and it's the least I can do. Like, really, there are people really in trouble, and we're getting to work and do what we love to do. So
yeah,
we do what we got to do, you know?
I was scared at first too, because just the way that everybody talked about everything, I feel like they had to put the fear of God in you to make sure everyone was being responsible. But
Sure.
going to be so isolated, you know. I thought that it was going to feel different, or that any of this was going to get in the way. And after the first couple of days of, you know, starting scenes with our masks accidentally still on or whatever it is,
Yeah.
I felt like the creative process might suffer. And it's actually been really refreshing that we haven't really seemed to lose anything, even despite all the new protocols. And that was really
I think a lot of that comes down to like your chemistry too. Like when you are doing a scene with people that you genuinely trust and you like, you know, what we do is such a vulnerable place to live because you're letting somebody see inside of you all the time. You know what I mean? And sometimes you're going to like me and sometimes you're not, but you're supposed to do that, you know? I think you just trust people and it's there, you know what I mean? And that's another thing that the Wolf team does. They get that chemistry and find it and pluck it out and go, you with you. And, you know, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, there's a purpose to the torture of joining the family, you know?
Totally. Totally. Once you're through, you're like, it's so true.
Because I remember I had not, like I said, I hadn't worked for 18 months and I was like really worried and down on myself, out of money, you know, savings, unemployment, all that was gone. And I remember just wondering what was going to happen. And I did the tape for this show, and it was part, you know, I was like, okay, here's this tape. Like, you know, I did it with I taped it with my coach and I felt good about it, but I had wasn't putting any chips in anything anymore.
Sure.
Because I was just worried about, I didn't want to be let down. So a couple weeks later, I get the call that they are still interested, and I ended up booking it. And then when they tell you too, they're like, all right, so we'll bring you in for 4 episodes and we're going to see how it goes.
And you're like,
I just kept trying to tell myself, like, I would be ecstatic to have a 4-episode arc on SVU.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
No, we've all been there where you're like, dude, I haven't worked for a while. Can I still do it? Do I still know how? You know, I think a lot of people don't realize. They'll go, you know, oh, this person came out of nowhere, but they don't realize you've been pounding the pavement. You've been auditioning. You've been like, dance, do my thing. You know, let me cry for you. And they don't realize like, you got to work to get this job. And, you know, it's easy for people to kind of go, well, they're, you know, they get to be celebrities. They get to do this. Yeah. And they forget, like, you're humans that are trying to balance 800 other things, and you're lucky enough to do this for a living. And man, you got to take it by the horns and appreciate every second of it. Cause we've all been there, dude, where you're like, I remember when I booked Law and Order, I was doing a recurring on CSI Miami, and I had really long hair. I had always had long hair. And that pilot season, thank you. Well, that pilot season, I had tested 5 times to be an attorney, a doctor, something. Like 3 times I was told, you're the girl. I wasn't booking it. And so I was on the phone with my husband, and I'm in Miami shooting, I think it might have been my death scene on CSI Miami. And I'm watching TV and talking to my husband, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm watching myself and I kind of look like a mermaid with that long hair. I said, I think I got to cut it. And he goes, are you sure? I said, yeah. So I flew home the next day. I chopped 13 inches off my hair, and I went in for Law and Order 4 days later. And that's how I got it. Isn't that crazy?
That is amazing.
But it was like,
what would happen?
Just seeing yourself in a different light, you kind of go, wait a minute. I don't know. Is she a doctor with this long hair? You know what I mean? And I Googled you. Is that weird? I totally Googled you. So I know that you modeled. Yeah. Like, so you modeled and did like music videos, and, you know, it's a different world. So you get it. I did that. I did music videos and alcohol commercials and, you know, but it was about like stepping back and going, okay, wait a minute. Would you believe her if you saw her? And I was like, oh, I need to whack that hair off, you know?
Well, so that's commendable that you could see it that way, because that's so hard to do sometimes, you know?
I don't know, but I'm really glad.
What you put out there, right? Like whether you think it needs to change or whether it's right, like understanding what you're already bringing to the table, like what you're putting out there, so that not only are you not worrying about portraying that because it's already there, but it just helps you understand what it is you offer, I think. And then on the other side of it, for you to look at
Yeah.
it and go, I don't know, I wouldn't really believe her as blah de blah. Let me.
Right. So yeah, it kind of helps to be able to step outside. I always tell new actors that are starting out, know yourself. Even if you have, your agents, your best friends, so and so producer says, I got to see you for this role again. And if your heart says, I'm not right for that role, follow it. Follow your gut. You know what you're doing. And the second you start to question that, you got fear and you get nervous and you're like, I'm not really this and I'm pretending to be something I'm not. But you know what I mean? You find that. And if it's not real for you, it's not going to look real.
Right.
And, the second I started being choosy about like, oh, wait, I'm right for that. I'm not right for that. I'm not the head of a gang. It's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I can go and try to be tough, but I'm not. Right. So yeah, it's all about knowing yourself, I guess.
And it's also important, as a young person who comes into this business, especially when you have the onslaught of social media, you're fielding so many opinions that if you don't have your own set in stone, and not to say that it doesn't evolve and change as you do as a person, but if you don't have that sense of self, even just a little bit of it,
you're in trouble
to accept everyone else's version of you, and it might not suit you.
I think sometimes you get you'll get certain like people tweeting or commenting that I don't like her face, and you're like, oh geez, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do the best I can and I'm gonna try and convince you that you do like me, but if you're not gonna cheer me on, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna do the best work I can, and that's it. Years ago, I think it was a really good lesson, but at the time it was like a dagger in the heart. I did a soap opera called All My Children, and I played one of Mark Consuelos's little sister on the show, and he was married to Kelly Ripa in real life and on the show, who is lovely. They both are. But when I was hired, I was supposed to be a 19-year-old, his little sister coming in. Okay, great. I'm so excited, and I was 22. I just turned 22 when I got the role. So I was like, okay, she's 19. Well, I got the first script and they said, oh, we decided to make you 17 and you wear a Catholic schoolgirl uniform and you say, my mommy doesn't let me date boys. And I was like, oh, God, do I have to say that? And I have looked like a grown-up since I was 15. I mean, this is just, that's who I was. I was one of those.
I've had this voice since I was like 15. So
yes. So, like you're just like, you appear older. So I do this thing and I'm so excited. Yay, my first job, everybody's watching. And the chat rooms were kind of a new thing. So it comes out and I get on and I'm like, oh, what are they saying? They hated me. I mean, venom was coming out of people. Her 40-year-old blank wouldn't look 17 they were cruel. And I was like, I was devastated. So sad. And I went to work and Kelly and Mark were like, never, ever read online, and I was like, really? Okay, but it was a great lesson in shutting out the noise. You know what I mean? Like, that's somebody who doesn't know me, doesn't know my family, doesn't know, they are just observing something and talking and having fun and not realizing there's a person behind it. So you have to, I think, put it in perspective and kind of go, I'm going to do the best I can. And you have to do that with auditions too, with anything in life. You go, hey man, I'm going to give you all I got. And I hope you like me. If you don't, okay. What do I do?
I mean, the social media thing, I've gotten to the point now where I respond to people often if they say something nasty.
Right.
And my friend is always like, he's always like, I don't know why you do that. But I get into a discourse because I'm like, it's not fair that they pretend that there's not a human here. So I start a discourse and I say, or a lot of times I'll just be funny and kind of just like a little bite.
Hey, I'm a human. Right.
Someone
will be it's tricky because I don't think they realize either. Like the genuine fans of the show, I think really love the show and they support it. And every once in a while you get someone who is like, I do not, like your hair or whatever. And they just have it out for you. And you're like, oh gosh, okay, I'll try to convince you, but otherwise, what do I do?
One thing, like if people don't like your character, like a lot of people, Kat annoys them, I think, because like she comes in and like pretends like she knows all this
because she's hot and tough.
But I'm like, you not liking my character is, if you really think about it, is still a win, right?
Absolutely, because you convince them. Absolutely.
You have an opinion about my character, which means you're accepting my character as a real person, right? In this context.
Right. They believe you. It's great. But yeah, it's so true.
When I did video games, I was the first female lead that Call of Duty ever had. And
that's amazing.
I was so honored, but it came with a ton of backlash.
Oh, sure. Of people judging.
People who felt like women in the military were inviting me to all these things to go spend time with them because they felt supported by my representation in this game. And then on the other side of it, there were all these people who are really upset that there's like a woman coming in on their turf. So I would get messages. This was my favorite one, and I had to laugh. Because I'm Middle Eastern, so I have a nose. It's not a small one, but it fits my
face. You have
face.
A great nose. By the way, I read when I was weirdly Googling you that you have Lebanese descent. My kids do too, and my husband. So anyway.
That's why my character wears her name in Arabic, because I came into my fitting with my name in Arabic that my aunt.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And they made one for Kat. But I remember when I was doing Call of Duty and people were saying things like, oh, I hope you fall down the stairs and break your neck, or go drink bleach, or Mount Rushmore called. They want one of their noses back. And
what is wrong with people?
And I used to just screenshot it and repost it, because then that person would get it.
Right.
Because I'm like,
they don't realize. You know what? Like that's why I really have to not sweat the small stuff, because there are a ton of people that do cheer you on, and that and there's way more that do cheer you on. And so
why do you focus on the one person?
Yeah. And also it's kind of fun to have people not like you, because you're right. They do believe your character. When I first started FBI, my first episode, I was nailing away, which is Zico's character. But he was being completely disobedient and not listening to his boss, and I nail him to the wall. But that was my intro, and everybody was like, oh, what? You know what I mean? Flames. But it's kind of fun too, because they believe you. You know what I mean? They're like, no, she's a jerk. Get her, So it's fun. And then throughout the episodes, you get to earn their love. You know what I mean? And they kind of go, oh, wait, okay, maybe she is part of the team. Okay, maybe I kind of like her, which is fun too.
Or you have to bring in another new person. Now everyone's ready to jump on them, and now you're.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. At least they're talking, right? It's fun.
Yeah, but you're right. You can't focus on it. It's not healthy. It's not rational. It's not. You shouldn't validate their opinions. And in the end, like you said before, it's such a personal journey, right? If you're an accountant and you get a number wrong in a spreadsheet, it's like, hey, can you fix that? It's not like a personal attack, but if you get a part wrong or your portrayal, that feels like a personal failure, right? Not just a professional mess up. And I think that part of it is what leads us to be so sensitive, when we come into the situation.
I think as actors, we are natural empaths, right? You can feel things instantly, and that's what helps you perform and whatever. So, you have to be careful to not take in the noise also. And also not take in too much of the good noise and get a big old fat head, which can happen as well. You got to have your balance and go, hey, cool. Some people are going to love me, and I love that. And some people are going to hate me, and that's okay too. At least they're talking, you do your thing, and you are grateful to the grave, whatever,
I think I saw a quote recently that was you shouldn't want to be liked by everyone. Even you don't like everyone.
Right.
There are people who we like more or less. So to be liked more or less by somebody else is more for the course, right? So it's you shouldn't focus on that,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love it. Love my job. Love my peeps. I mean,
you guys got to get a lot of good action, don't you?
We totally do. I really want to get in on the action. I don't think it'll ever happen. I wear a lot of suits, a lot of skirts. So I doubt Isabel's going to come flying over a desk, but in my mind, she does, they got some cool stuff. Zico and Missy both are so talented, and they do so much physical stuff. Missy was so impressive when she was pregnant. She was running after people, and we were she was awesome. Just a rock star, and Zico can jump literally, I think, the length of a car. He's what? Johnny Boyd too. And we have a new girl, Catherine Renee Turner. She plays Tiffany. She is like really, it's kind of crazy. When I first met her, I didn't know what to expect, right? Because she's new. And she walks in and she is this like stunning woman. And she's tall and she's strong. And you know how you meet people and she just feels tough? I was like, oh, yes. I was just like, wow. It's very cool. Like the vibe of the cast is it's fun, man. They're FBI agents. It's really, really neat.
Do you feel like, you know, the more experience, because you're talking about coming in, you know, to this job and finding familiar faces, but do you think having, you know, that experience under your belt, do you feel like you've come into each new job with a little more comfort or faith in yourself? Like, do you notice that?
Yeah. You know what's interesting? It hit me probably about 5 years ago when, you know, I had kind of been consistently working and I would be on set and I was able to, you know, just kind of rehearse and listen to what, you know, the DP was saying and what the director was saying. And I could say, okay, hold on, I can help you guys both. Let me walk from here to here and I'll say the line here and I'll turn here. And I thought, where did that come from? But, you know, that kind of comfort was there and just felt good and felt right. So I definitely have noticed that. And I think throughout the years, I've noticed that I just trust my gut. And you know, your gut is what's right and it's what's worked. And you know, I do what I do. And I think that as long as you are grateful and kind and you do the best work you can to provide the best show you can. And I feel like the Wolf Pack brings all of these creative minds together that want that. We all want this cohesive, cool, action-packed story. And, you know, as well as I do, sometimes when you're doing the procedural, the guest stars do have all the meat. They have all the emotion and all the story, and we're there to support it and kind of help it flow. And so a lot of times you have to find that emotion and find those moments.
So it doesn't get
work with such, like you work with such great actors, you find those moments together and you trust them because you trust these actors. That when I look up at Jeremy, even though it's not scripted, Jeremy looks back at me and we can acknowledge, you know, that the two bosses going, you see what I saw? I saw, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just, it's a great vibe. Like, I feel like, yes, that was a really long way to say yes.
I love it. I know despite being in different places in our careers, I know that we both feel so grateful to be a part of this world, also to be playing strong women.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, that's something I'm just so grateful for.
Really proud of. Yeah, me too. Like I have a daughter who's 7.
Like,
you what?
I'm scared to walk onto any other set where I feel like it's going to be disorganized or something, right?
They'll be like, wait, who are you? And why are you telling us what to do? Oh,
yeah. What were you saying with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say, like, my daughter's 7 and I love, like, I'm so grateful that I get to portray smart, strong, intelligently powerful women. You know what I mean? Like, I really am grateful for that because I think she and every other little girl in the world needs to believe that they've got that. You know, that justice isn't just for some, that it's, you know, for all colors, all shapes, all sizes, and, you know, and female and male, you know.
Than we have even had. And we have had so many options compared to the generations before us.
Yeah. So I think it's something that we have to cherish and really nurture and, you know, like I said, grab it, hold it in your heart and go. It's pretty special.
I think so too. This has been so wonderful. It's been so nice.
I know.
Talk to you.
I'm so glad to have met you finally. I'm sorry it took so long for us to organize.
It's, you know, we know it's crazy. Noberta says hi.
Oh, give him a hug for me.
Bess, please tell her I said hi.
You just work with the best people. They're really, really good.
They all spoke
good humans.
You, so they all
hi. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Me too.
Gossiping.
Maybe in real life one day.
I know we will. After COVID, we will be able to meet for lunch, talk about Kelly.
Yes. Yeah, we'll FaceTime Kelly and we'll get it all
Yeah,
done.
totally. Have you seen pictures of her kids, by the way?
Not recently. I can't even imagine. I think the last time I've actually seen pictures of her kids is when I did.
They are the most beautiful little humans. Like, you're just literally like, what? That's not a real baby. That's a painting. Are you joking? What? It's so sweet. Yeah. It's just pretty awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Another strong woman. Let's just keep it going.
Yes. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I love it.
Well, I hope you have an awesome weekend.
Yes, you too. And congratulations on the SVU sisters.
Thank you for
Very cool.
blazing an amazing path for the rest of us to follow.
Yeah, girl. See you later.
Bye, love.
Bye.